What's up? It's your boy Mayneyac, one part of the OG Sports Spliff podcast. Coming today to talk about some of these quarterbacks in this new NFL draft that's about to take place in a couple of weeks. Believe between the 23rd to the 25th. And I was talking to my brother the other day about some of these quarterbacks and a study of hype surrounding some of these quarterbacks. And there's three names that came into question. Those three names is Joe Burrow, Tua, and someone from last year's draft, Dwayne Haskins. And something has been bothering me now for over a year now when it comes to Dwayne Haskins. Something that I can't really put a finger on and I can't really understand where it's coming from. So maybe some of the media that's in the know can kind of share with us at some time what's actually wrong with Dwayne Haskins. Dwayne Haskins is a quarterback that was at Ohio State and only played roughly one full season as a starter and a couple of games when JT Bird got hurt the previous year, I believe in the Michigan matchup, when he actually had broke his leg, maybe, or he had a injury at that time where Dwayne Haskins had to come in the game and he filled in pretty admirably. As soon as he got on the field, he was throwing darts, moving Ohio State up the field against Michigan, pretty much showing out. The year that Dwayne Haskins ended up starting at Ohio State, he ended up with, I believe, 50 touchdowns and roughly 6 interceptions. If my memory serves me correct, at least three of those interceptions came during his the only of the couple of losses that he had. I believe it was against Purdue and against Clemson when he played against them in a blowout loss in the national playoff game, right? Dwayne Haskins, from the time many of us seen him get on the field, was throwing absolute darts. I mean, the first time I seen him was in the spring game. He got on the field and the first pass he threw, I said, who is this dude, Dwayne Haskins? He's got a ridiculous arm. Fast forward to towards some of the end of his college performances, the Northwestern game and the national championship against Northwestern. If any of y'all can go back and find some of those plays Dwayne Haskins made at the college level, some of the best completions we've seen at the college level came from Dwayne Haskins against that Northwestern team and against some other teams during his run as a starting quarterback at Ohio State that let you know that he was an absolute stud back there at quarterback. So now fast forward to now. We keep hearing people clamoring for Dwayne Haskins to be replaced by Tua from Alabama, Tua Tagovailoa. Excuse me if I'm not pronouncing that name correctly. But everybody know who Tua is. Tua appears to be the media darling. The media has been in love with Tua from the time in which he came on the field, replacing Jalen Hurts in one of the title games. I believe the SEC title game. Went on to win the game against. No, excuse me. That was not the SEC title game. He actually came in to win the game, win the national championship game. I believe at that time, were they playing Clemson? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. My memory escapes me. But Tua came in, rescued Alabama in the second half. They went on to end up winning that championship that year because of Tua's play. Right? Again, no disrespect to Tua. Every time I see him talk, he seems like he's a great guy, very well spoken, great teammate, things like that. But I question this elite play that we've seen on the field. We've heard him being called a left-handed Drew Brees. I've heard some people say that he has skills at the line similar to a Peyton Manning. I've heard some pretty lofty praise coming in for our guy Tua from Alabama. Now, let's bring up Joe Burrow. In just this specific season, We sat and watched Joe Burrow have over 60 touchdowns playing for the national title LSU Tigers team. But yet, when we turn on the TV, we still hear people saying that Tua should be selected over Burrow. After what we seen last year from Joe Burrow, what heights or specific performances have we seen come from Tua, which is even in the same ballpark of what we seen from Joe Burrow this year? I'll wait for one of you all have to tell me that, because I can't recall any of these performances in which I was wowed watching a specific throw or a specific play coming from Tua. Solid play, typically consistent play against competition that, let's be real, is not even close to beating Alabama. Alabama only has about one regular season game per year where a team has a shot of defeating them. And typically that team is LSU. And for the past years, LSU hasn't even been up to par to have an offense that would even be capable of competing against Alabama. Forward to now, when you have Joe Burrow, who defeated the mighty SEC Titans in Alabama in, I would say, pretty impressive fashion when he went up against them. Dominated against Clemson in a national title game. Roughly 73% completion percentage all year. And we're saying that Tua should have been selected before Joe Burrow following this year's play. Not going into this year's season, after this year's college season. We're still making that statement? Okay. So now we're talking about Joe Burrow. We're talking about the same Joe Burrow who could not beat out Dwayne Haskins 2 times in an open competition. So the Ohio State staff, which is known to be one of the best coaching staffs in the nation, had Joe Burrow right up close and decided to go with Dwayne Haskins. But you're telling me, without seeing one down of NFL play from Tua, that Tua should come in and replace Dwayne Haskins. And we've also made the conclusion, based off of a handful of games that Dwayne Haskins played for a broken Washington regime under a coaching staff that did not want him, according to you all, we should replace him and put a surefire winner and Tua in at his place. I'm confused. There has to be something behind the scenes with Dwayne Haskins, personality-wise. Maybe there's a story out there where he stole a teammate's girlfriend. There has to be something out here that the press knows about Dwayne Haskins that none of us is privy to. Because whenever he picks up and throws a football, he looks like an absolute stud. So why, out of these 3 quarterbacks, why is Dwayne Haskins number 3 in the rankings, and it appears that Tua should be a surefire 1, and then Burrow number 2? So we're sure now that Burrow is a better quarterback than Dwayne Haskins? Again, I don't understand, first and foremost, how Dwayne Haskins, with those impressive numbers in the best defensive conference by far, Big 12 plays no defense, SEC don't play no defense, and the Pac-12 don't play any different defense. The only conference that has any semblance of defense consistently across the teams within that conference is the Big Ten Conference. So how is Dwayne Haskins now a bust and somebody that should be replaced by an often injured Tua? That part I don't understand. I would love to know how Dwayne Haskins did not end up as being a top 5 pick. We've never seen somebody from a major university display the type of play that he displayed in his sole season at Ohio State and fall to the 15th pick, and then have the media saying that he essentially should have fell further. So I'd love to know what the media hates about Dwayne Haskins and what the media loves so much about Tua. Can somebody help me out?